Lecture No. 24 and 25. Kinds of flower-bearing shoots. Can it be clubbed with pruning in last chapter? Depending on the position of fruit bud and the kind of flower-bearing shoots it produces, fruit trees can be classified into following 8 groups. Basically, there are 2 types of flowering, terminal and lateral, and within each category there is variation depending on flower shoot, pure or mix, terminal or lateral, fig. 7.5. R. Group 1. Fruit buds born terminally and unfold to produce inflorescence without leaves. E.g. mango. Group 2. Fruit buds born terminally unfolding to produce leafy shoots had terminate into flower clusters, e.g. apple, and unfolding to produce leafy shoot with flower cluster in the leaf axils. E.g. fig and avocado. Group 3. Fruit buds born terminally unfolding to produce leafy shoots with flowers or flower cluster in the axil of leaf. E.g. guava. Group 4. Fruit buds born laterally unfolding to produce flowers without leafy parts. E.g. citrus, coconut, papaya and coffee. Group 5. Fruit buds born laterally unfolding to produce leafy shoot terminating in flower clusters. E.g. grapes. Group 6. Fruit buds born laterally. Group 7. Fruit buds born both terminally and laterally but unfolding to produce inflorescence terminally. E.g. walnut. Group 8. Fruit buds always born adventitiously in old trunk or shoots. E.g. jackfruit, cocos, Indian star gooseberry. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 64. Season of pruning. Generally, pruning should be done in such a time that physiology of plant is disturbed to the minimum and it should not interfere with the principal function of the plant. Thus, fruit trees are pruned for fruiting when dormant, i.e. late winter in case of temperate fruits, and soon after harvest in evergreen if required. Sometimes the trees are subjected to stress to induce dormancy before pruning, as in Bahar treatment. Pruning for structural adjustment is done when plant is making growth, i.e. summer pruning. Generally, pruning is regularly done in temperate fruit crops like apple, pear, peach, plum, cherry, walnut, apricot, grape, and subtropical crops like pomegranate, lemon, bay, guava. Evergreens like mango, sapota, and lychee are rarely pruned except thinning of branches to avoid overcrowding and removal of deadwood. However, now this concept is under change. Pruning technique. Basically, there are 2 techniques which could be utilized individually or in combination depending on the need of the crop. Heading back. It is cutting back of terminal portion of a branch to a bud. This encourages spreading of growth, bushiness, and compact plant. It is also called pinching. Thinning out. It means complete removal of a branch to a lateral or main trunk. This makes the plant open, large tree or plant. Thinning out of growing wood is also called deshooting. The table indicates pruning time and technique in different fruit crops. Table 7. Pruning time and techniques in important fruit crops. SL. No. Crop. Time. Technique 1. Apple. Late winter. Light thinning coupled with heading back. 2. Peach. Late winter, dec Jan. A combination of thinning out and heading back. 3. Plum. Late winter, dec Jan. A combination of thinning out and heading back. 4. Grape. North India late winter, Jan. Heading back of cane. South India summer pruning, August. Heading back to 1 or 2 buds which is almost thinning out. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 65. Winter pruning, sept OCT. Heading back to cane. 5. Mango. After harvest. Thinning. 6. Falsa. North. Late winter, early spring. Heading back. South. Dec Jan. Heading back. 7. Bay. Summer, April, May. Heading back and thinning out of old branches. Other important considerations. Use good and sharp equipment. Cut should be small, smooth and slanting so that water does not accumulate on cut end. Large wounds should be treated with antifungal chemicals like Bordeaux paste. Shoots from rootstock should be removed regularly. Removal of deadwood, parasites, loranthus, epiphytes, ferns, climbing vines and nests of bees, wasps, ants, termites should also become part of pruning. Besides, pruning and training plants can also be managed through biological and chemical methods. Biological control. In this method following techniques could be utilized. Use of rootstock. Use of dwarf, vigorous and semi-vigorous rootstocks can alter plant size. E.g. MIX for dwarfing of apple and trifoliate for dwarfing of citrus. Phloem disruption, ringing can be utilized for regulating flowering and fruiting. Hardening. By subjecting plants to low temperature, high heat or stress, the plant size can be altered. Chemical control. There are a number of plant growth regulators like inhibitors, retardants, gibberellin, auxins and ethylene when applied to plant modify plant growth and development, and they can also be utilized for managing plant and its performance. Some of the useful responses are being mentioned below. Rooting. Auxins enhance rooting. E.g. EBA, Na bolting, GA enhances while MH reduces bolting. Modification of flower sex. Ethylene for the induction of femaleness and gibberellins for malezness flower induction. Auxin and ethylene in pineapple, culta in mango have positive role. Gibberellins may help delaying flowering. Fruit set. Auxins and gibberellins in seedless fruits have positive role. Control of fruit drop. Auxins check fruit drop. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 66. Thinning. Auxins in higher concentration and phenols can be utilized to thin crop. Regulation of ripening. Ethylene enhances whereas auxins, kinetin and gibberellins delay ripening. Pinching. Methyl ester dust budding. Na sprout control. Na abscission enhancement by ethylene and check by gibberellins and auxins. Storage disorder. Prophenylamine reduces storage disorders. All these techniques individually or in combination can be utilized for the management of tree and its productive functions. However, they need to be utilized after proper testing for their concentration, timings, and combinations. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 67. Lecture No. 26. Top working. It is a technique or method of rejuvenation wherein the objective is to upgrade seedling plantations of inferior varieties with superior commercial cultivars or hybrids suitable for domestic or export market or the desired variety of the grower. The technique involves grafting with procured scions of desired variety on shoots emerged on pruned branches by adopting softwood grafting during monsoon season. Season of top working slightly varies from species as it also depends on availability of good shoot and scions. The scion shoots in the emerged shoots should be of same thickness. Advantages of top working. 1. Increase the tree productivity, orchard productivity. 2. Conversion of old and senile orchards into productive orchards. 3. Conversion of seedling or inferior variety plantain orchard into new orchard with desirable variety or varieties through top working. 4. Possibility of grafting several varieties on the same plant. 5. Increasing the fruit set of orchard by grafting few shoots with pollinizer varieties. 6. Additional income by selling the pruned wood during non-bearing season or period. Disadvantages. 1. Chances of death of plant if not done properly or on severe pruning. 2. Need good management post-pruning period. 3. Loss of crop for 2 to 3 years. 4. Chances of pest and disease occurrence, stem borer, anthracnose etc. 5. Need skilled labor for thinning of shoots, removal of side shoots etc. Top working technique can be successfully followed in crops like mango, sapota, onla, cashew, guava, tamarind, jackfruit etc. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 68. Lecture No. 27 and 28. Problem of unfruitfulness. In an orchard, all the fruit trees do not bear equally or regularly and sometimes fail to flower and fruit under similar conditions where another fruit tree bears heavily. This failure to set fruits may be attributed to unfruitfulness. To understand the problem of unfruitfulness in orchards, a familiarity with following terms is necessary. Fruit setting. It refers to initial growth of ovary and its associated parts after blossoming and taking it to maturity. Fruitfulness. It is the state of plant when it is not only capable of flowering and fruit setting but also takes these fruits to maturity, and inability to do so is unfruitfulness or barrenness. Infertility. Ability of a plant not only to produce fruits but develop viable seeds, and the inability to do so is referred as sterility or infertility. All fertile plants are fruitful but all fruitful plants are not fertile, seedless fruits. Self-fruitfulness. Ability of a plant to mature fruits after self-pollination. Self-fertility. Capacity of a plant for the production of viable seeds after self-pollination. We have known that ability of a plant to produce optimum crop is fruitfulness, and the inability to achieve this is referred to as unfruitfulness. This unfruitfulness is one of the serious problems of many orchards, and its causes need to be understood properly for effective control and obtaining economically acceptable production level. The causes to this problem can be many, and they have been broadly grouped into two categories. A. Internal factors. B. External factors. A. Internal factors associated with unfruitfulness. There are a number of internal factors which are associated with unfruitfulness or sterility. They have further been categorized into three major categories. Those are 1. Evolutionary tendencies. 2. Genetic influence. 3. Physiological factors. 1. Evolutionary tendencies. In the process of evolution, a number of situations may lead to imperfect flowers or varied developmental periods leading to unfruitfulness unless suitable measures are adopted. I. Monoecious and dioecious nature. A plant with stamens and carpels in different flowers on the same plant is monoecious. E.g. coconut, areca nut, pecan nut, capri fig and hazel. In monoecious fruit plants in general there is no or very little problem of pollination, fruit setting and fruitfulness. Nevertheless, pollinators need to be ensured. Plants which bear male and female flowers on different plants are known as dioecious. E.g. papaya, date palm and strawberry. Likewise, a few varieties of plum produce too little pollen to call them bisexual. Profuse flowering without fruit set in ornamental pomegranate is a result of their being unisexual. A number of sex forms have been reported in papaya by different. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of Horticulture. 69. Scientists. In case of figs, two types of flower clusters are born, namely staminate and pistillate flowers. In capri fig, staminate flowers are born near the eye and pistillate flowers are born near the end. To ensure good fruit set, retention of a few staminate trees, 9. 1 is essential as pollinizers. E. Heterostyle. A condition in the flower where length of the style, relative to other parts of the flower, differs in the flowers of different plants. In this case, in some flower styles are short with long filaments, and in some of the flowers of some species or varieties styles are long with short filaments. The styles and stigmas at different height prevent self-pollination. In case of brinjal, there are 4 types of flowers according to their length of style, i.e. long, medium, pseudo-short and true short. Out of these, pseudo-short and true short do not produce any fruit. Similarly, in delicious group of apples, extreme upright positions of the stamens accompanied by spread petals do not permit bees to do pollination while collecting nectar. When the pistils of heterostyle plants are pollinated with pollen from the same flowers or from other flowers containing stamens of an equal height, the union may be fruitful, but it is likely to be of varying degree of sterility. Here, arrangement for cross-pollination needs to be created. E. Dichogamy. When stigmatic receptivity period does not coincide with pollen viability in monoecious plants, it is known as dichogamy. In dichogamy, self-pollination is prevented in perfect flowered plants due to maturity of two sex elements at different times. If the stamens ripe before the stigmas become receptive, the flowers are known as protoandrous, and if stigmas become receptive before the stamens produce viable pollens, it is known as protogynous. This results in low production of fruits. Protogeny is present in monoecious plants like walnuts, hazels, etc., whereas protandry is present in many coconut varieties. Majority of dioecious plants are also protogynous, i.e. abortive flowers or aborted pistils or ovules. This occurs in the developing flows, pistils and stigmas of many species and is responsible for failure in fruit setting. Abortion of partially developed flower buds is common. Setting and maturity of two sexes depend on the erosion of two properly formed sex cells. Any interference with their development and functioning may lead to sterility or unfruitfulness. Such things can be observed in some grape varieties and tomato varieties. The late flowers of strawberry cluster are always abortive. This is more common in indeterminate type of plants. Degeneration of pistils takes the form of abortion, and it is more common in ornamental pomegranate. Certain olive varieties have 10 to 60% abortive embryos. It is also common in some apple varieties. Embryo sac abortion becomes a cause of seedlessness in certain instances than fruitfulness. B. Impotence of pollen. Many varieties of grapes produce non-viable or important pollens though they appear as perfect flowers. Sterility in grape varieties was the result of important pollens. Sterile pollen in the grape results from degeneration processes in the generative nucleus or arrested development prior to mitosis in the microspore nucleus. This is also common in J.H. Hail peach, Washington navel orange and Tahiti lime. 2. Genetic influences. Self-sterility is a condition determined by the inheritance received but can develop in favorable environment. Self-sterility affects its offsprings as well as hybrids. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of Horticulture. 70. I. Sterility and unfruitfulness due to hybridity. Generally, wider the crossing, greater is the degree of sterility encountered. The cross between peach and plum bears abundance of flowers, but they are without pistils with malformed stamens. Flower characteristics were constant, sterile and barren. A hybrid between the pear and the quince was seedless. Most of the citrangeas, cross between sweet orange and citrus trifoliata, produce no fertile female gametes. Seedlessness in most of the banana and pineapple varieties is due to hybrid nature of their ancestors. Most of the triploid apple varieties produce aborted pollen. A number of hybrids between Vitis rotundifolia and Uvitis are completely sterile. Similar was the case with hybridization of Vitis vinifera and Vitis rotundifolia. E. Incompatibility. One of the most common causes of self-unfruitfulness and self-sterility is due to incompatibility between the pollen and ovules of the same plant or of the same variety. Pollen and ovules are fertile, but they fail to affect conjugation. In apple, pear, plum and onla, self-incompatible varieties require another pollenizer varieties for fruit setting. Self-incompatibility has been reported in some of the mango varieties like Langra, Dashahari, and Chaucer. Self-sterility and self-unfruitfulness has been reported in apple, pears, plums, almond, apricot, the clementine, mandarins, may be attributed to incompatibility where normal processes of fertilization fail somewhere between production of functional gametes and the fusion of sex cells. 3. Physiological influences. I. Slow pollen tube growth. Slow growth of the pollen tube results in unfruitfulness. Differences have been found in the rate of growth in self and crossed apples, pears, cherries and certain citrus fruits. This may be considered one type of incompatibility due to chemotropic or hormone influences. Besides this, fertilization should take place within a short time, failing which abscission will take place at the base of the style, ovary pedicel or peduncle, and fruit setting does not take place. E. Premature or delayed pollination. Premature or delayed pollination leads to unfruitfulness. Tobacco flowers are very susceptible to injury from premature pollination. When mature pollen grains are applied to immature pistils, they germinate, penetrate the style, enter the ovule, and if the ovules are not ready for fertilization, the flowers fall. However, in case of oranges, premature pollination did not have any deleterious effect, whereas some injury was noticed in tomato. Lower setting due to premature pollination was noticed in persimmon, pear, plum, and peach. Similarly, if pollination is delayed, the flowers fall without setting. Delay in pollination for 1 or 2 days did not affect fruit set. However, further delaying may result into polyembryonic seeds in some species. Nutritive condition of plant. Nutritive condition of plant just before or at or just after the time of blossoming is an important factor determining the percentage of flowers carrying for setting and for maturity. It may affect the pollen viability or fertility of pistils. A. Effect on pollen viability. There was significant difference in germination percentage of pollen collected from old apple trees and from strong young trees of the same variety. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 71. B. Effect on defectiveness of pistils. Exhaustion of tree by overbearing. Drought or poverty of soil leads to production of defective pistils. Overbearing weakens the fruit tree and in coming season production is adversely affected. Close correlation was reported between defective pistils and unfruitfulness in American plums. In case of Vitis vinifera, carbohydrate deficiency is the common cause of flower drop. Due to carbohydrate deficiency, flower abortion and ultimately unfruitfulness also occur in greenhouse-grown tomatoes. IB. Fruit setting of flowers in different positions. Fruits born on terminal growth have more competition in many fruit crops and mature and set under normal nutritional conditions, but percentage of set is small. This positional competition takes place between fruits and branch as well as between different fruits, influencing fruitfulness. Strong and weak spurs. Nutritional condition of spurs has positive correlation with fruit setting in apple. Spurs on vigorous limbs with large leaves set more fruits than those born on weak limbs. More flowers ultimately lead to more fruit set, and more flowers are generally born on strong limbs. Likewise, flowers born singly set fruits and mature as fruit, and majority of those born in clusters drop down. Ringing or girdling also lead to accumulation of an extra store of food material, leads to fruit set and develop parthenocarpally. In the process of fruitifications, the embryo is more important for development, i.e. if nutritive condition is favorable, it accompanies the development of the seed coat and fruit wall. If not, only the latter portions are in high degree retardation in development. Under insufficient nutrient supply, the number of seed-forming ovules are diminished, and under extreme nutrition deficiency, both fruit wall and large number of ovules are diminished, leading to enabling to form seed. In case of greenhouse cucumbers, nutritional deficiency leads to arrest of growth of growing fruits depending upon the position of the fruits and time of pollination. If a few of the cucumbers are harvested, remaining fruits resume growth. In case of strawberries, producing bisexual flowers may lead to produce pistillate flowers if nutritional deficiency was observed. However, nutritive condition has indirect influence on compatibility. B. Unfruitfulness associated with external factors. 1. Nutrient supply. In certain families like Gramineae, Cruciferae and Leguminaceae, sterility normally occur due to overfeeding. Jonathan. Apple self-sterile in rich soil becomes self-fertile in poor soils. High fertility level is generally associated with good pistil development and low level with poor pistils and good stamens in grapes. In olives, low fertility leads to partial or complete degeneration of pistils. 2. Pruning and training. Pruning tends to produce more true hermaphrodite condition in grape variety, Hope. If pruning is not done, the variety tends to remain sterile and produces aborted pistils. 3. Locality. Jonathan apple which is sterile in one location is reported to be self-fertile in another location. 4. Season. Hybrid grape, ideal, is self-important early in season but becomes self-potent later on. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 72. 5. Temperature. High temperature at flowering dries up stigmatic secretion and prevents pollination. Tomato varieties grown at high temperature do not produce any fruit. 6. Light. Exposure of strawberry plants to long photoparide results in development of stamens and pistils in strawberry flowers. 7. Pests and diseases, mango hopper, powdery mildew, etc., adversely affect the fruit set and development in mango and grape. Spraying the trees when they are in bloom, i.e. spraying at flowering, reduces fruit set. Some of the fungicides gave inhibitory effect on pollen grains, i.e. copper fungicides at 200 to 10,000 ppm prevent the germination of pollen grains on the stigma. Steps to overcome the problem of unfruitfulness. Having known that there could be many reasons for unfruitfulness, it is necessary to make necessary corrective measures which should begin from planning level and extend to an established orchard. A choice of the crop and variety should be made on the basis of climatic and edaphic conditions of the site of orcharding. Provision of windbreak and shelter belts for areas prone to wind damage. Before planting an orchard, soil should be brought to optimity by incorporating organic matter, amendments and nutrients based on soil analysis. IV. In case of problems of pollination due to heterostyle, dichogamy incompatibility, sterility, embryo abortion, hybridity, etc., a mixture of varieties should be grown by introduction effective pollinizer varieties and pollinators, honeybees. B. Unfruitfulness due to slow growth of pollen tube, premature and delayed pollination. Use of plant regulators can be affected after standardization in terms of chemical concentration and timing of application. B. The problem due to old age could be overcome by replanting or rejuvenation of old trees. B. Problem due to overbearing can be managed through thinning at appropriate stage. B. Irrigation management would be key role in situations with drought and waterlogged conditions. X. Problem due to uneven distribution of flowers on tree should be managed through thinning and crop regulation. X. Maintenance of critical nutrient status in tree leaves for optimum crop production by adopting correct nutritional program based on plant and soil analysis. She. In crops requiring regular pruning, standard practices will have to be adopted based on crop, variety and its phenology. Xi. Unfruitfulness due to pathogens should be managed through effective plant protection measures following integrated approach. Xi. Problem of unfruitfulness due to tendency of alternate bearing should be overcome through replacement of regular bearing varieties and crop regulation. It is important to analyze the problem and then corrective measures should be suggested. Basically, the planning should be so done that future is problem free and then should be followed by adoption of correct package of practices. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 73. Lecture No. 29. Organic farming. Green revolution has brought spectacular increase in production as well as productivity of crops in our country. But after the initial success, it had shown the symptoms of fatigue evident from the undesirable side effects on natural resources, such as soil, water and biodiversity and thus human health. The vast areas of soils once fertilizer was degraded due to soil erosion, salinization or general loss of soil fertility. Water resources have been overexploited and polluted due to excessive requirement of irrigation water for high-yielding varieties and intensive use of agrochemicals. Many plants and animal species were wiped out and are endangered. Residues of harmful pesticide in food and drinking water endangered both farmers and consumer health point of view, and thus excessive use of external inputs consumes a lot of energy from non-renewable resources. Organic farming is a way of conserving the soil and maintaining the fertility, protect soil flora and fauna diversity. It has lesser effect on pollution either of groundwater, lakes and rivers. Organic agriculture does not utilize non-renewable external input and energy. Since no chemical or pesticide is used in crop production, there is very low chance of pesticide residues in food. At the same time, the organic products are healthier and have better product quality like taste, aroma and storability. Input cost is drastically reduced in organic cultivation, but the market price leading to higher income for farmers. Aims of organic production and processing: to produce sufficient quantities of high-quality food, fiber and other products. To work compatibly with natural cycles and living systems through the soil, plants and animals in the entire production system. To recognize the wider social and ecological impact often within the organic production and processing systems. To maintain and increase long-term fertility and biological activity of soils using locally adopted cultural, biological and mechanical methods as opposed to reliance on chemical inputs. To maintain and encourage agricultural and natural biodiversity on the farm and surroundings through the use of sustainable production systems and protection of plant and wildlife habitats. To maintain and conserve genetic diversity through attention to on-farm management of genetic resources. To promote the responsible use and conservation of water and all life therein. To use, as far as possible, renewable resources in production and processing systems and avoid pollution and wastes. To foster local and regional production and distribution. To create a harmonious balance between crop production and animal husbandry. To provide living conditions that allows animals to express the basic aspects of their innate behavior. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 74. To utilize biodegradable, recyclable and cycled packaging materials. To provide everyone involved in organic farming and processing with a quality of life that satisfies their basic needs within a safe, secure and healthy working environment. To support the establishment of an entire production, processing and distribution chain which is both socially and ecologically responsible. To recognize the importance of, and protect and learn from, indigenous knowledge and traditional farming systems. Organic food products exported from India. Organic cereals, wheat, rice and maize or corn. Pulses, red gram and black gram. Fruits, banana, mango, orange, pineapple, passion fruits, cashew nut and walnut. Oilseeds and oils, soybean, sunflower, mustard, cottonseed, groundnut and castor. Vegetables, brinjal, garlic, potato, tomato and onion. Herbs and spices, chili, peppermint, cardamom, turmeric, black pepper, white pepper, amla, tamarind, ginger, vanilla, cloves, cinnamon, nutmeg and mace. Others, jaggery, sugar, tea, coffee, cotton and textiles. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 75. Lecture No. 30, 31 and 32 Plant growth regulators. The quantitative increase in plant body such as increase in the length of stem and root, the number of leaves etc. is referred to as plant growth, whereas the qualitative changes such as germination of seed, formation of leaves, flowers and fruits, falling of leaves and fruits is referred as development. The two sets of internal factors, viz. Nutrition and hormone control the growth and development of the plant. The raw material required for growth is supplied by nutritional factors which include the minerals, organic substances, the protein, carbohydrates, etc. Utilization of these substances for proper development of the plant is regulated by certain chemical messengers called plant growth substances or plant growth regulators, which in minute amounts increase or decrease or modifies the physiological process in plants. Phytohormones. These are the hormones produced by plants which in low concentrations regulate plant physiological process. These usually move within the plants from a site of production to a site of action. Plant growth regulators. These are organic compounds other than nutrients, which in small amounts promote, inhibit or otherwise modify any physiological process in plant. Or it may be defined as any organic compounds which are active at low concentrations, 1-10 milliliters in promoting, inhibiting or modifying growth and development in plants. The naturally occurring endogenous growth substances are commonly known as plant hormones, while the synthetic ones are called growth regulators. Plant hormones. It is an organic compound synthesized in one part of plant and translocated to another parts, wherein very low concentration causes a physiological response. The plant hormones are identified as promoters, auxins, gibberellin, cytokinins, inhibitors, abscisic acid and ethylene, and other hypothetical growth substances, florigen, death hormone, etc. Auxins. Auxin is a Greek word derived from auxin which means to increase. It is a generic term for chemicals that typically stimulate cell elongation by loosening cell wall, but auxins also influence a wide range of growth and development response. The chemical isolation and characterization was done by Kobe et al. 1934. Auxins are the first identified hormones of which IAA seems to be the major naturally occurring endogenous auxin in plants and crops. Besides IAA, plants contain 3 other compounds which are structurally similar and elicit many of the same responses that of IAA, 4-chloroindole acetic acid, CIAA, phenylacetic acid, Pa-indole butyric acid, IBA. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 76. Site of auxin synthesis. Auxins are synthesized in stem tips and in young tissues and move mainly downstem, basipetal movement, i.e. from shoot tip to root. Synthetic compounds are classified into 5 major categories. 1. Indole acids 2. Naphthalene acids 3. Chlorophenoxy acid 4. Picolinic acid. 5. Derivatives. Role of auxin. 1. Cell division and enlargement, IAA plus Ga, example, cambial growth in diameter. 2. Tissue culture, shoot multiplications, IBA and BAP, callus growth 2. 4D, root multiplication IAA and IBA, 1-2 mg. 3. Breaking dormancy and apical dominance, inhibition of lateral buds, Na 4. Shortening internodes, apple trees, Na, dwarf branch fruit. 5. Rooting of cutting, 10-1000 ppm NAA, IAA, phenyl acetic acid 6. Prevent lodging, Na develop woody and erect stem. 7. Prevent abscission, premature leaf, fruit and flower fall, NAA, IAA and 2, 4D. 8. Parthenocarpic fruit, grapes, banana and orange, IAA. 9. Flower initiations, pineapple uniform flowering and fruit ripening, Na, and delay flowering, 2, 4D. 10. Weed eradication, 2, 4D. Gibberellins. It is the active principle isolated from the soil-borne fungus Gibberella fujikuri. The concentration of GA3 is usually highest in immature seeds, reaching up to 18 mg per kilogram fresh weight in phaseolus species, but it decreases rapidly as the seeds mature. In general, roots contain higher amounts of GA3 than shoots. Gibberellins have also been found effective in overcoming both kinds of dormancy in buds as well as seeds. Role of gibberellins. 1. Ga. Synthesis in leaf and induced shoot elongation, IAA plus Ga3, by affecting cell elongation or cell division or both. 2. Enhance metabolic activity, mobilization of reserved food material, promote growth and height, increase root activity and kinetin production in root translocate to growing bud. 3. Shoot elongation, GA3 spray increases height of seedlings. 4. Delay senescence, increase photosynthetic and protein synthesis so decrease abscission. 5. Increase cambial growth and differentiation, induce flower and fruit set, IAA plus Ga3. 6. Dwarf plant, genetically, to normal height, GA3. 7. Promote flowering in long day plants, substitute for long day condition and cold treatment, vernalization. 8. Induction of parthenocopy in grapes, 3 physiological events, richest cell elongation, flower thinning and berry enlargement. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 77. 9. Breaking dormancy and leaf expansion. Cytokinins. First endogenous cytokinin was isolated from maize kernels named as zetine. Germinating seeds, roots, sap streams, developing fruits and tumor tissues are rich in cytokinins. Cytokinins imbibed seeds germinate better in dark than unimbibed lettuce seeds. Similarly, cytokinins together with gibberellins effectively breaks the photodormancy of celery, Apium graveolens seeds. Synthetic cytokinins are kinetin, benzyladenine and ethoxyethyladenine. Role of cytokinin. 1. Cell division, elongation and enlargement. 2. Tissue culture morphogenesis. 3. Induction of flowering and fruit development. 4. Parthenocopy. 5. Apical dominance overcoming. 6. Breaking dormancy. 7. Delay senescence. 8. Improves N2 metabolism. Ethylene. Nelubo, 1901, is credited with having identified the active growth regulating component of the illuminating gas as ethylene. Ethylene is formed naturally in plants in amounts sufficient to bring about regulatory effect and it might be considered as plant hormones. Ethylene may be active in alleviation of secondary dormancy also. Ross, 1984. Recently, a synthetic chemical known as ethyl, ethephen, chloroethyl phosphonic acid, SAPA, has been reported to release ethylene when applied to plants. Role of ethylene. 1. Breaking dormancy. 2. Induce ripening of fruits. 3. Induce abscission of leaves. 4. Inhibit elongation and lateral bud growth. Growth retardant. The term growth retarding chemical or growth retardant is that chemical slows cell division and cell elongation of shoot tissues and regulate plant height physiologically without formative effects. E.g., Amo 1618, Phosphon-D, CCC, chloromique and ALA. These do not occur naturally in plants and acts in retardation of stem elongation, preventing cell division. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 78. Plant growth retardants are defined as synthetic organic chemicals that cause a retardation of cell division steps in pathways of hormone biosynthesis without evoking substantial growth distortions. Inhibitors. These suppress the growth of plants. There are phenolic inhibitors and synthetic inhibitors and abscisic acid, ABA. Phenolic inhibitors, e.g., benzoic acid, salicylic acid, coumaric acid and chlorogenic acid. Synthetic inhibitors, e.g., maleic hydrazide, triiodobenzoic acid, TIBA, SAD, etc. An inhibitor from young leaves of betula, SPS, prevent the growth of apical buds. E.g., aberrandorman. Role of abscisic acid, ABA, should appear as fifth growth regulator in the group. Add introduction to ABA, take this before growth retardant 1. To stop elongation. 2. Induce dormancy. 3. Delay germination. 4. Inhibit growth process. Add method of preparation of growth regulator formulations. Methods of application. Growth regulators can be applied in different ways like 1. Spraying method. 2. Injection of solution into internal tissues. 3. Root feeding method. 4. Powder form. 5. Dipping of cuttings in solution. 6. Soaking in dilute aqueous solution. Various uses of plant growth regulators. 1. Propagation of plants. A number of plants are propagated by stem, leaf cutting and by layering. For promotion of rooting, the most commonly utilized hormone is EBA followed by Na. Gibberellic acid causes inhibition of root formation in cutting. Cytokinins also help in quick and profuse root formation in cuttings and layers. By use of auxins, profuse root formation is observed in cuttings of guava, fig, pomegranate, crotons, rose, hibiscus, etc. 2. Seed germination. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 79. Many seeds have natural dormancy which can be got over by dipping the seeds in auxins. Soaking seeds of French beans and peas in 10 to 20 ppm solution of GA for 12 hours before sowing significantly improves the yield and quality. Dipping sweet potatoes in 5 ppm GA solution for 5 minutes before sowing increases sprouting and yield of potatoes. 3. Control of plant size. In fruits and vegetables, application of higher doses of nitrogenous fertilizer spraying psychocell, growth retardant, the superfluous growth of leaves is checked. By spraying 10 ppm solution of morphactin in potato, the growth of plant is reduced and thereby the size of tubers is increased. The growth retardants are useful in checking the growth of hedges in ornamental gardens, thereby reducing the cost of trimming the hedges. 4. Regulation of flowering. In pineapple, due to later flowering the fruit get ready in rainy season. Thus deteriorates the quality of the fruit. This difficulty can be overcome by spraying 5 to 10 ppm solution of Na before flowering. Application of 100 to 200 ppm GA in dahlia plants induces early flowering. Sometimes, it is necessary to delay flowering, e.g., crossing of varieties which do not flower simultaneously. Hence, the crossing becomes difficult. 5. Control of sex expression. In number of cucurbits, such as ridge gourd, bitter gourd, watermelon, cucumber and pumpkins which have proportion of male flowers as more than female flowers. For better yield, it is necessary to increase the number of female flowers. This can be achieved by application of auxins which increases the number of female flowers and decreases the number of male flower. The commonly used auxins are Na and lateral. 5. Control of fruit set and growth of fruit. Spraying Na, TIBA, and PCPA on flowers increases the fruit set. Dipping of grape bunches, young fruits, in GA solution increases the berry size in Thompson seedless grape. 6. Control of fruit drop. In Nagpur Santara, the fruit drop can be controlled by spraying 10 to 20 ppm Na or 10 ppm to 4D after fruit set. The fruit drop in mango can be controlled by these two auxins. 7. Thinning of fruits. Sometimes it is necessary to thin the fruit so as to bring a balance between the supply of nutrients and development of fruit. In such cases, spraying with mild solution of ethyl or morphactin reduces the fruit load by 25 to 30%. 8. Early ripening and development of fruit color. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 80. If the fruits could be brought in the market in early part of the season, they fetch good price. Spraying with 2, 4, 5T and B9 hastens maturity of apples by 1 to 4 weeks. 9. Prevention of sprouting. In potatoes and onions, after harvest, in storage, the buds start sprouting which makes them unfit for cooking. Spraying of malic hydrazide, MH, solution before storing, prevents sprouting and these can be stored safely for 6 months. 10. Control of weeds. The conventional method of controlling the weeds is to remove them by uprooting manually. Successful control of weeds is obtained by spraying 2, 4D in many crops. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 81. Lecture No. 33, 34 and 35. Maturity indices for fruits. Maturity, commercial or horticultural maturity, refers to the stage at which the produce is optimally accepted to the consumer. Maturity index. The maturity at harvest determines the quality and post-harvest shelf life of the fresh fruits. The study of maturity indices helps to harvest the crop at right time. Judging maturity. There are various means of judging maturity but they vary according to the kind of fruits, local soil and climatic conditions, but generally farmers follow visual means, appearance. But this is not a perfect method. Many a times it may mislead the farmers. There are certain limitations for all maturity indices due to variation in nutrition of the crop, fruit shape, size, climate, seasonal factors, but judging maturity, there are various means of judging maturity but they vary according to the kind of fruits, local soil and climatic conditions, but generally farmers follow visual means appearance. But this is not a perfect method, many a times it may mislead the farmers. There are certain limitations for all maturity indices due to variation in nutrition of the crop, fruit shape, size, climate, seasonal factors, moisture, pruning method, use of hormones and other chemicals. We can use various indices to judge maturity. Mango, 1. Slight color development on the shoulders. 2. When 1 or 2 ripe fruits fall from the tree naturally, Tapka method. 3. Skin color changes from dark green to olive green. 4. Counting of the days from fruit set to maturity. 5. When the specific gravity of fruits ranges between 1.01 to 1.02. 6. Flesh firmness. 7. Lenticels become more prominent and waxy bloom gradually disappears. 8. When the TSS reaches 11 to 15 obrix. 9. The first and second methods are not of much help since these are not representative of the fruit maturity of the entire tree and the fruits harvested do not ripe uniformly. Banana. The fruits are harvested at different maturity level based on distance of transport. For long distance transport 75 to 80% maturity and for short distance transport 90 to 100% maturity fruits can be harvested. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 82. 1. When the pulp peel ratio reaches 1.2. 1.6. 2. Days taken from shooting, i.e., 3.0-3.5 months. 3. Disappearance of angularity of the fingers. 4. Brittleness of floral ends. 5. Drying of leaves in some varieties. Guava. 1. Guava fruits generally take about 17 to 20 weeks from fruit set to reach maturity. 2. When the color changes from dark green to light green. 3. When the specific gravity is 1.0. Grape. Grape is harvested when they reach a TSS of 16 to 24% depending on variety. Bangalore blue. 12 to 14%. Anab-e-Shahi and selection 7 16-18%. Thompson seedless. 20 to 22%. Besides TSS, the following physical characteristics are also useful in judging maturity. Texture of pulp, softness. Peel color, light yellow. Easy separation of the berries from the bunch. Development of characteristic flavor and aroma. Papaya. 1. For local market, when skin color changes at the apical end of the fruit. 2. For long distance transport, when the skin color changes from green to yellow to the extent of 6%. 3. When the latex of the fruit becomes almost watery. Pineapple. For local market, when 25% of surface changes to yellow color. For long distance, when all the eyes are still green and have no trace of yellow color, 75 to 80% maturity. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 83. In India, 1. Pineapples are harvested when the color changes from green to greenish yellow. 2. The fruit develops a smooth surface around the eyes. 3. The flattening of eyes. 4. TSS, acid ratio of 21 to 27 and specific gravity of 0.98 to 1.02. Jackfruit. 1. A dull, hollow sound is produced when the fruit is tapped by the finger. 2. The last leaf of peduncle turns to yellow. 3. Fruit spines become well developed and widely spaced. 4. An aromatic odor develops. Pomegranate. 1. The fruits are ready for harvest between 135 to 170 days after anthesis. 2. The fruit color changes in summer to dark yellow and in winter to dark red. 3. The persistent calyx at the anterior end of the fruit curves inward and become hard and dry at maturity. 4. Rind is very hard. Supporter. 1. The peel shows a dull orange or potato color with a yellowish tinge when scraped. 2. The scurf content on the surface of the fruit will be minimum and easily fall off. 3. The content of milky latex drops to almost zero. Citrus. 1. Maturity indices differ among the citrus species, varieties. 2. Mandarins, when the rind color changes from green to orange color. 3. Sweet orange, when the rind color turns to yellow. 4. Limes, when the rind color changes to light green to yellow color. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 84. The International Standards Organization has set in minimum juice content of citrus as follows. Washington navel oranges 30%, other orange varieties 35%, grapefruit 35%, mandarin orange 33%, lemons and limes 25% for processing. Total juice content of the fruit is important. Fig. 1. When fruits become soft and wilt at neck. 2. Fruits hanging down from their own weight. 3. No milk exudation from the stem when the fruit is pulled off. Custard apple. 1. When the fruit turns to light green color. 2. Development of yellowish white color between the carpels. 3. Initiation of widening the gap between carpels or segments. Bay. 1. Attainment of full size of particular cultivar with softening of pulp. 2. Development of characteristic yellow or golden yellow color. 3. Days to mature the fruits. X. In Delhi CV. Gola took only 150 days whereas Tikadi requires 173 days to mature. 4. In cultivars like Gola, Katli and Umran, there was an increase in reducing and non-reducing sugars, total sugars and TSS. Date palm. It can be harvested at 3 different stages. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 85. SL. No. Stage. Characteristics. 1. Doka, color. Fruit becomes hard, yellow or pink or red, TSS 30 to 45%, astringency present or absent depending on cultivar and edible stage. 2. Dank, root up, softness starting at tip of fruit, tannins and astringency disappears, loose weight and moisture content is about 35 to 40% in edible stage. 3. Pin, tamur, fully ripe fruit, loose weight, TSS 60 to 84% in edible stage. Agrimoon. Com. Fundamentals of horticulture. 86. Lecture No. 36. Marketing of fruits, can this be dropped? Marketing is crucial to better performances production. It comprises all the operations and actions involved in the movement of commodities from the producer to the ultimate consumer. Richard Coles, 1958, has defined marketing as, marketing is the performance of all business activities involved in the flow of goods and services from the point of initial agricultural production until they are in the hands of the ultimate consumers. Price stability and equitable distribution of goods and services cannot be achieved without an organized, well-equipped and efficient marketing system. Some of the objectives of fruit marketing are 1. To link the producers and consumers by bringing the products from the producing centers and offering them to the consumers. 2. To fetch a profitable but reasonable selling price for the producers. 3. To keep the price of the commodities within the reach of the consumers. 4. To present the commodities in a saleable, readily consumable and attractive form with minimum deterioration in form, quality and taste. 5. To keep the cost of marketing as minimum as possible to maintain the interests of both producers and consumers. 6. To keep the demand and supply in balance. Factors affecting rate of market development. 1. Nature of demand. 2. Nature of products. 3. Transportation and communication facilities. 4. Quantum of supply and demand. 5. Public policies. Marketing channel. The route through which the goods and services move and reach the hands of final consumer is known as marketing channel. There are a number of intermediaries who perform the various services and are parts of marketing channel. The most common and widely used marketing channel in fruit marketing is
grower, pre-harvest controller, primary wholesaler, consumer agent, secondary wholesaler, retailer, consumer.